So, hello there, Neil, Nicoletta, everyone. Neil, mate, sorry I couldn't make it to the stag night, but I fielded a couple of complaints this morning. A Mr. Ramesh Patel, Uber driver from Bracefield, he wants the hubcaps back from his Toyota Corolla. And down the way from you there's a Mrs. Hey-Ho Giles. She's the one with the prize-winning privet hedge. She woke up this morning, there's a dirty great gash in it. She told police it was about the size of a home-based shopping trolley or an electric mobility scooter. So obviously you chaps had a good time. Hello everyone, my name's Nanu. I am your best man today. Best man. First time job for me, so I thought I'd look into the job description of this, and it does go back to medieval times. Now I know that you have all been sitting in a wonderful picturesque medieval church this afternoon, whereas me, I'm recording this in the Rolf Harris Memorial Theatre in Australia. Oh yes, Rolf is still very much folk hero here. He was stitched up like a bloody dingo roadkill by yous whinging poms, with your bloody rustic villages and your bloody medieval churches and your bloody prize-winning privet hedges. Oh yes, medieval times. The job description back then, in the week before the wedding, was to basically fight off the rivals to the beautiful bride. And although times have changed, I haven't been with my sword chopping up Henry the Hopeful or Edgar the Eager. One thing that hasn't changed, Neil, you have a very beautiful bride there, and you are the lucky groom. Groom is also a strange word, tends to lead one to think of grooming, maybe. And that tends to lead you to think of old-fashioned boys-only schools with perverted teachers who keep special toys in their desk drawers. In fact, he's even got the school tie on. In fact, just like the school where I met Neil in 1979 in a town called Maidenhead. Fun fact number one, Rolf Harris also lived in Maidenhead until he died. Bonus fun fact, I used to do a paper round and delivered paper, lots of paper, Kleenex, rubber gloves, duct tape, cable ties, all the tools of his trade to his place by the river every morning. Now, Neil, as you know, was a sort of rock star, Bruce Springsteen type figure in the world of liver surgery, and this was when we were at school. That was in the 1980s, and all of the medics that are sitting around in the room now, they're probably thinking back to exactly how hard they studied and how hard they worked to get from classroom to medical college. Well, Neil and I, we always wanted to take the unconventional method, and we failed all of our exams. We managed to get to medical school courtesy of another fine English institution, Jim'll Fix It. And all of the perverted, imaginative teachers at our school capitalised on this grooming, and they sent us up to the BBC, and we stood there in front of the great man, and we said, Jim, can you fix it for us to be doctors? And as it happened, in the 1980s, Southampton Medical School was new, very trendy, rather desperate, and used to keep a quota of Jim'll Fix It scholarship places. And I well remember us all sitting together there in lecture theatres, you guys all thought that Savile Row was an exclusive tailor's street in London making expensive suits. Not at all. Savile Row, that was us. Now, I've been on jury service, which is why I haven't been able to be with you in England today. The bloke in court, came up to me and he said, excuse me, do you mind if I swear you in? I said, yeah, sure. And he said, well, take this Bible in your hand, you Couldn't hear a word of the case. I was sat next to a fellow jury member who was one of these eco warriors. Not so much stop the oil. She was into this deforestation, logging of the Amazon basin forest, whatever. I read the story, it's quite interesting. There was a big American multinational logging company. They put out a notice to say that they were going to clear this area and they were coming the following month. Anyway, they turned up the next day with the bulldozers, totally flattened the village. The villagers said, you said you were going to come next month, you came the very next day. Bulldozer guy said, that's your fault for signing up for Amazon Prime. Aki Mayar, hoi voi, hoi van. I think I just wished well to the Hungarians in the audience. I hope so, at least. Takes me back to my childhood and the Blue Peter specials. We used to bring in these food parcels going off to Africa, and I said one day, please miss, why don't we send it a little bit closer? Why don't we send it to Hungary? And she said, well, why? I said, well, it says on the label of the country, they're all hungry. That was 40 years ago. Fall of communism, fracturing of political ideologies, schisms, new nation building. I thought it was time I checked out things on Google Maps. So I magnified it all up. Basically, still named after basic physical urges. Right next to Hungary, there was Starvania. On from that, there was the nascent nation-states of North and South Bulimia. And as I looked into it further, the North and South have got nothing to do with geography. It's more the favoured purgatives. Anyway, you're all eating. I will not dwell. I don't believe in anything I read in Wikipedia anyway. Now Neil, when in his rock star surgeon days, he used to go to the Caribbean a lot, and he used to do some fantastic teaching, operating, charity work there. And this is a story from when he was young, free and single. He was in a very posh hotel in Trinidad, and he and a colleague had managed to, in one of the nightclubs in town, secure some romantic interest for the night, and he and his buddy Franklin were just at the bar having their last drinks, and Franklin turned to Neil and he said, look Neil man, why don't we make a contest of it tonight? Why don't we find out who is the baddest lover? You put a score on your bedroom door every time you have sex, then we check it in the morning. Neil agreed, and they had their last drinks, and they gave each other a wink as they went up to their bedroom boudoirs. Such was the circumstances. Neil, frisky in those days, after about 10 minutes, he climaxed and found his way to the door on the pretext of getting a bottle of champagne, and put on the outside of the door a big mark and ruby red lipstick, obviously. Went back to it after about a sultry night. After another half an hour, he was back at the door, number 2. And then an ill-advised trip to the minibar. It was the general somnolence of the Caribbean air, sleepy time, so good night. He woke up in the early hours of the morning, and thanks to a bit of the old GTN spray, precursor to Viagra, as all of the medics in the room will know. Back at it again. Final trip to the door, ruby red lipstick, put another mark on there. So we went down to breakfast feeling pretty good, and there was Franklin giving it the respect, kudos. Neil said, "What?" Franklin said, "I went past your bedroom door, man. 111 shags. You beat me by 5, you honky rascal." "I don't like cricket." "No." "Oh yeah." "I love it." "Yeah." I used to have dreadlocks and I need a holiday. So I've been your best man, allegedly. As 50% of the room will know, men are basically best at stupidity. And, well, take my wife. No, seriously, take my wife. Anywhere. No, take cricket. Men started playing cricket about 150 years ago, and they sort of weighed up the size of the cricket ball, and it was pelting down pretty fast. And as a boon to Victorian condom fitters, they basically came up with this thing here, which goes over your genitalia and keeps you sweet. It was not until another 130 years had passed that they realised that you might want to protect the old brain up there with a helmet. Now, pretty good. I used this through the whole COVID era. Yes, excellent protection. Yep, men pretty much stupid. But Neil, I love you, brother. It's been a total pleasure being your best man. I absolutely love your wit, your intelligence, and seeing your superb brain power still fully functioning after the cruel ravages of that demyelinating devil Mickey Smith over the years. And your boy Franklin, he tell me you're still okay down below the belt there. So there is a God. May God bless this wedding. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Neil and Nicoletta. Pop one for me.